Drummer John Steele was one of the founding members of the band The Animals, one of the most important groups of the British invasion, alongside the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. Some 50 years after they first hit the charts, The Animals are at it again. This May, the band is about to embark on an Australian tour where they'll be playing some of the greatest songs in popular music history. Songs that we all know and love, like The House of the Rising Sun, We've Got to Get Out of This Place, and Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. I'm thrilled to have been afforded the opportunity to have a chat with John Steele, who joins me on the phone now from the UK. John, what an incredibly illustrious career you've had, and you keep having. Tell us a little bit about how you and Eric Burdon first got together. I believe the two of you actually met in college, and he convinced you to switch playing instruments.
Yeah, that's right, Sandy. It was 1956 when Eric and me first met. We were 15-year-old school dropouts who met at the first day at art school. We opted for art school so that we didn't have to get a proper job and work for a living. So we managed to sort of swing it. So we got 3 years at art school enjoying ourselves, and then went and started playing rock and roll and blues for a living, and never looked back. You know, it was it was a bit of a funny time. Yeah, that was the start of it all. You know, I mean, right now it's a long time ago. The lineups have changed and things are different. So Eric's been living in California for the past 30 or 40 years and doing his own thing over there. We've got a great little band. We've got an exciting band, and I think that what's good about it is the Animals catalogue. You know, I mean, the songs we recorded back then still, you know, they still stand up so well today, and we've got about a dozen really big, strong hits that always have to be included in the show. You know, like you say, House of the Rising Sun, and We Got to Get Out of This Place, and Misunderstood, and It's My Life, and all those great songs. What do you think it was about those times then that produced all of those big hits? I don't know. I think it was, well, I mean, when Eric and me first started out, rock and roll was just a young baby, you know. Suddenly it was an exciting new period for teenagers to be sort of living through. It was inspirational, and it's something that kind of really hit the spot for us. I find that the songs we did then, a few years later when we became a band ourselves, you know, we stopped being fans and became bands, you know, because that's what we wanted to do, get involved in it, you know. And we were just, I don't know, I guess we had some good taste, really, because we got some great songs out of it. And I feel really proud of them because they never got old, you know. They never sound dated to me. You know, it seems to be the case with the audiences that come to see us, because they can vary from people of our age down to teenagers. We get a big mix of people who come to see us. Well, I mean, everyone knows the song "The House of the Rising Sun." I mean, my entire generation, obviously, it's the first song that everybody who was learning guitar ever learnt. Why do you think that was? Well, I don't know. Like I say, it's just a kind of something about that, the recording, the song, and the way we recorded it and developed it just seemed to hit a chord with a whole generation. You know, the number of people for years and years and years and years, I've been hearing them say exactly what you just said. The first guitar I ever got, the first song I learned on it was House of the Rising Sun. You know, there's a whole lot of people who just seem to feel that song meant something to them, you know. Just that one song alone is standout for anybody's life, you know. So we've got that and a few more too besides. Absolutely. I read somewhere that song Rising Sun refers to a New Orleans brothel or a slave pen on a plantation. What do you know about the origins of the song? It's an old folk song. That's what anybody really knows. I mean, the thing about the House of the Rising Sun was reputed to be a house of ill repute in New Orleans in the days of, you know, the birth of jazz. But I think I've heard theories, and I tend to believe that it's origins are probably either Scottish or Irish, and it has that, when you listen to it, it has that kind of vibe, and I think it might have been brought over by Irish or Scottish immigrants, and eventually just travelled around until it ended up in New Orleans. That's just what I feel and what a lot of people seem to think. Anyway, we heard it the first time. I can remember hearing it was on Bob Dylan's very first album, an acoustic folk song. No known author. Nobody knows who wrote the original, but that was a very nice version of it.
Most of your songs actually talk about the dark side of life. Was that because of the times that they were, or what you guys were going through, or that's what resonated with the audience most? How do you explain that?
I think it resonated with us. That dark side is what makes the songs still stand up and still feel valid today. They're about life. They're not just they're not just middle of the road pop songs. They're almost poetry, and they say something about life. And I think that's why they still stand up so well. And that's why we never get tired of playing them, or people never get tired of hearing them. They're just good. It's good stuff.
Hey, John, your fallout with Eric was a little like a divorce being dragged through the court. Have you befriended each other again, despite him losing the rights to the animal's name?
No, it's very sad that I feel. I don't know. It makes me feel sad that it should come to something like that. It's completely unnecessary as far as I'm concerned. It was a waste of money on both our parts, and the only people who win are the attorneys. I would rather have sort of settled the issue over a glass of wine and a meal with Eric, but it wasn't to be that way. Eric's always have a way of he hates to get into confrontations. He's always done things from he'd have to have a lawyer to speak for him. That's the way he works, and it's not the way I work. I just feel sad that it had to be like that. I would have much rather, like I said, settled it with a handshake. But there you go. That's life. Yeah,
that's sad. Now, the other thing I read this week about you was a rumour that spread widely through social media announcing your death. Did you see that? That feels pretty weird.
Yeah, I thought it was very funny actually. I sent it to a few friends and family, and everybody thought it was a hoot. And then there was another one came out shortly after that I hadn't died after all, but I was the richest drummer in the world or something to that effect. So it's just a kind of fake media stuff that goes around. But that was the first time I ever heard of that kind of thing, and it was spooky, really spooky to see it. The whole thing was cleverly laid out with pictures, and the whole thing looked genuine. So
it must have been kind of like watching your own funeral, but at the same time you must have been quite chuffed that over 1 million people left likes and comments and condolence.
Yeah, it was really a bizarre experience, and apart from the initial sort of spookiness of it, I thought, well, it turned out to be everybody that I knew. It was always very funny, the whole thing.
At least you're going to go out with a big fanfare anyway. You've got an incredibly hectic tour coming up in Australia, and you turn 76 next month. I mean, that's amazing.
In February, February the 4th was my birthday, 76, yeah.
How do you keep up the pace?
Well, I mean, we've already done 41 gigs this year already in the first 2 months, I don't know, you just get into kind of a momentum, and the energy comes from somewhere, and we've got through 41 gigs in 2 months already, and there's quite a lot to do yet. I think it keeps me young, to be honest. I think if I wasn't doing this, what would I be doing? Just, I don't know, gardening or something.
So, but do you have to compensate for it?
I like to get at least 8 hours sleep a night if I can, so I don't party into the small hours anymore, but then at the same time I do like to socialise with the band and with people we meet on the road. So most nights after a gig we do a little bit of socialising, but then I say, well, it's time for bed, good night. But I don't see the dawn in anymore.
I bet you don't, and I bet you're going to keep it going for quite a while yet. What are we going to see on this Australian tour?
Oh, well, you're going to see a good band, a hot band. It's a lot of fun. I think this lineup's the best I've been in since the original Animals, and the material we do is pretty close to what people expect to hear. Because you don't want to mess around with you don't want to mess around with classic songs and change the arrangements or anything, because people go, that's not the way I remember it. So you've got to give it at least, be as close as you can. But at the same time, you're always tinkering with things and having a little bit, maybe we could improve it or a little bit of freshen up here, but not too much. Just enough to keep ourselves, committed and excited and think, oh, this is good.
So you're not sick of it at all yet? You're still as passionate about it as you were as a fresh-faced 15-year-old?
Absolutely, yeah. It's what it's what defines my life as far as I'm concerned. That's what when we started off doing and found our place. We're very lucky guys, very lucky to be able to do all this, stuff that we really, really enjoy, and bring a lot of enjoyment to a whole lot of people all over the world. It's an absolute privilege, to be honest.
And we thank you for it. John Steele, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure and a privilege chatting to you. We look forward to seeing you all over Australia this coming May.
Many thanks to you, Sandy. Lovely talking to you.